The aim of the journal is to give evidence that an evolutionary perspective, this view of life, one of Darwin's phrases, is adequate to encompass every aspect of human concern. And that means science, politics, the arts, everything in the humanities and the social sciences. We probably won't do much with, physics and chemistry. That's outside the range of a general journal of culture, but it's partly that to just give a demonstration, and in a more positive way, it opens an opportunity for a great many people who have this kind of knowledge and this point of view. It gives them an opportunity to do a kind of writing that they otherwise wouldn't have. That is, a lot of the people writing for us are psychologists or anthropologists, and they do mainly academic writing geared toward a very specialized audience. And we wanted people to have an opportunity to let their imaginations expand within the evolutionary framework. It's an odd kind of thing. I still puzzle over this myself, that in one sense it's a narrow and specialized focus. That is, everything, one of the stipulations for contributions is that it has to have a very distinctly evolutionary angle. It has to engage evolutionary ideas, operate from an evolutionary perspective, adopt evolutionary subjects, though that's not crucial. You can adopt any subject as long as the perspective, the idea behind it, are evolutionary. So in a sense it's narrow, but in another sense our idea is that it's as broad as anything could possibly be. The idea is that the evolutionary perspective is an ultimate encompassing, final, absolute, total perspective. This is what makes people most nervous outside the field. You start talking about the 1,000-year Reich, and they think, well, you've got global imperialist ambitions intellectually, and it's true. It's absolutely true. There's a wager. The wager is that the evolutionary perspective is adequate, is true, is the central linking conceptual framework that forms a genuine scientifically established foundation of knowledge for everything in the social sciences and the humanities. We think that's true. If it's true, then the final frame of reference for valid commentary on any subject would be, at the very minimum, compatible with an evolutionary perspective. The motive behind this kind of study is not to sort of huddle up to the sciences and get their reflected warmth. The motive is to gain more validity and explanatory power for our own subjects. The people who are interested in connecting to biology and psychology and anthropology from the humanities are interested still in talking about literature and culture. They just want to talk about it more effectively, more adequately, to have better insight and greater validity in what they say. The same thing is true for the other disciplines. The chemists sometimes feel uneasy about the fact that physicists deal at a higher level of reduction, as if the physicists are more real than the chemist. But that's silly. And most chemists, most of the time, realize that they're dealing with complex structures that simply don't come into the purview of physics. They're emergent properties, emergent structures, and that's true at every level along the way. Biology and ecology deal with complex systems and relationships that are built out of chemicals, but that are not dealt with by chemists. Chemists don't deal with whole organisms, and psychologists are dealing with emergent structures and behavior and motives and perception and emotions that don't come within the purview of people who are simply studying the physiology of organisms. And it's true of the humanities too. The humanities are dealing with forms of imagination, cultural interactions that are built out of psychology, which is built out of biology, which is built out of chemistry, which is built out of physics. But none of those other disciplines takes account of the specific subject matter of the humanities. And having an adequate grasp of the specific subject matter of the humanities is, in a sense, the single most challenging task that could face any scientist or researcher. It's the highest level of emerging complexity in which you have to take account of the constraining force of all the lower levels and still register the features that are peculiar to your particular subject. The dirty word became academic. We don't want it to be academic. We don't want it to be kind of a matter of rehearsing routine information in a neutral, impersonal voice. We want everything to have a quality of style. We want it to be stylish. Everything to have, some vibrancy, vitality, freshness, vividness, something that indicates there's an active, curious mind engaged with the subject. When we try to envision what the journal is, one way to do that is to think of it in terms of models that are already existing. So from the beginning, we wanted short pieces. We wanted things that were going to be readable, tending more toward a review, so things like the Times Literary Supplement. And we wanted things that were, clearly geared toward an educated general audience, so we thought of the New Yorker. So it's some kind of odd blend of the New Republic, the New Yorker, the Times Literary Supplement, and the New York Review of Books, but clearly geared toward an evolutionary way of thinking. The biggest thing that's holding us back is that there are no graduate programs for this kind of thing. So everybody contributing to it got tenure doing something else. With the evolutionary way of going about things in the humanities, there's no institutional apparatus at work. The Evolutionary Review could be regarded as the first official institutionally supported, production in the whole field. At some point, there's going to have to be an institutional breakthrough at which even just one graduate program, an interdisciplinary graduate program in evolutionary studies in the humanities, but with a strong social science component where people take statistics when they first come in, will be established. And once that happens, the scope of productivity in the whole field should increase dramatically. There's a problem too in the humanities generally, in that the job prospects for people in the humanities are so dismal that it's a matter of conscience not to induce students to enter into. No, seriously, for many years, most of my colleagues, when students say, "Oh, I think I'd like to get a PhD in English," most of my colleagues say, "Don't do that." All of our untenured adjuncts making $30,000 a year have PhDs, and they're the lucky ones. You don't want to be a migrant academic worker. That's no way to live. So there's a real problem there. I mean, we need an institutional base, but the humanities are in such a bad condition that establishing another graduate program has an ethically problematic character. The one thing that can be said as a qualification of that ethically problematic character is that it's possible that if we established a program like the one that we're envisioning, the humanities would come back to life and people would stop despising them and there would be more jobs. That's a hope.